Every time you're in Rome and you order a coffee, that is an opportunity to turn it into a 30-second chat, how's your day going, all of that sort of stuff, if you're bold enough to take it. Okay, welcome back to another video. I don't know if you've noticed that we've been doing 3 of these a week now recently, which I'm in myself quite impressed at that level of output. Although I will neither confirm nor deny that that level of output will be maintained as we head up till Christmas, because it's a lot of work, guys. Anyway, today what we're talking about is ways in which language learning actually makes you a better human being, a more rounded, fully formed individual in general, which sounds very grand, but I genuinely think there are lots of things that you learn when you're learning languages that isn't just how to say hello in better in French. But the best way to explain it is just to jump right in, so let's do that. Now, I personally think that one of the biggest things that you learn when you're learning languages is that you learn how to learn better. And if that's a bit too many uses of the word learn in just one sentence, then let me explain it. What I mean is that in your adult life, I imagine that there's probably not many examples of times when you've had to learn something completely new, completely from scratch. But if you decide to pick up a foreign language for the first time as an adult, you're going to be going into a room where you know literally nothing. Now, this is where languages are particularly interesting because there are loads of different ways that you can learn them. A good teacher will have you read stuff, listen to stuff, speak in class, give presentations. There are hundreds of different ways to begin to learn a language, but you'll probably find that one of those methods makes the information go into your brain much, much better than the other methods. And that is great. That is the method that you can now use for everything. That is you learning how to learn. I, for example, now know that if I really want to get something into my brain, then the best way to do that is to just talk it through with somebody. Find someone else who's interested in it and just talk about that subject. And that will get it into my brain. That's something that I have learned from doing languages and hanging around after class speaking French with my classmates. So that's learning how to learn. But the next big benefit is the exposure that you get to new people and new cultures. Now, you might think that you know a lot about the culture of the people who speak your target language. It might even be the main reason that you're learning the language. But I guarantee you that you will have your mind blown by the amount of stuff that you learn by actually going there and learning the language, or even not going there, just doing it at home. And the reason I say that is because by necessity, to learn a language, you have to dive into all of this content that was made with that language in mind. So you have to watch films, listen to podcasts, YouTubers, listen to music, read books. There are so many different bits of content that are created for this whole world that you haven't previously been able to access, and now you get given the password to that world. Something that's really cool is that you're not actually likely to be doing this by yourself. If you're learning French, for example, you'll find loads of Spaniards, Italians, Americans doing the same thing. And so not only are you learning about French culture, but you're also learning about your colleagues' cultures from the school. For example, it's really, really common in language schools to do exercises like describe a city in your home country, or describe a festival that happens that's unique to your own country, or a food dish or something like that. There's by default this idea of sharing cultures and sharing ideas in your foreign language that you're learning. And finally, what I like about this idea of cultural exchange is that the more you do it, the easier it gets. And every time that you practice by going out and speaking to somebody in public, every time you do that, you're getting better at being able to do that the next time. So it's like a self-fulfilling thing. Every film that you watch helps you understand the next film better. Now, when you're at your language school with all of these different people, the next thing that you're going to really need to learn is how to communicate, which I think is the next really big thing that you get from languages. And obviously, you learn how to communicate in the target language, but there's a difference between learning how to communicate in a different language and learning how to communicate better. Let me explain. When you're learning a language, there's so much more than just the grammar and the vocab. You also have to be able to explain yourself with gestures. You have to understand tone. You have to understand intent and context and all of these different things, because right at the start, you just literally don't have the grammar, you don't have the vocabulary to express every idea that you want to. And in fact, throughout your career learning whatever language it is, until you're like 3 years down the line, you will always struggle to have the perfect grammar and the perfect vocabulary for the situation you want. So you have to find ways to go around the grammar you don't know, or sort of underneath the verbs that you've lost, or the nouns that you can't quite recall. And this is why at language schools they make you practice taboo so much. It's not because it's just a fun game to like teach you words. It's actually to teach you how to explain things when you don't have the words. For example, if I needed to make a presentation about stellar nucleosynthesis, which is something that I studied at university, if I needed to make a presentation on that in Italian, or if I needed to explain it to somebody for whom English was a second language, I'm pretty confident I could do it. And in fact, we did that as an exercise in Leganati when I was doing Italian. And it's not because I ever took a course on a scientific Italian or because I've done my teaching English as a foreign language course. No, it's because I have learned how to communicate despite not having those things. Okay, so my almost final point for this video is about bringing all those things together. Because if you're putting yourself out there to learn, if you're going out and communicating as much as you can, and if you're diving into completely new cultures and peoples, then you are almost certainly pushing right to the edge of your comfort zone. And the next thing that languages really give you is the ability to just smash straight through that comfort zone. Because if you really want to be good at languages, then you want to go out and use it and speak to people and go to tandem events, go to language exchanges. Every time you're in Rome and you order a coffee, that is an opportunity to turn it into a 30-second chat, how's your day going, all of that sort of stuff, if you're bold enough to take it. And that is genuinely where some of the best language learning experiences come from. And that's why we learn languages, is to enable us to have experiences like this. But even, well, especially for me, I think actually I was always really bad at this. I always find it very stressful to go out there and put myself out there and just begin a conversation like that. It's something that you learn how to do and something that you have license to do. If you walk up to somebody and they hear you've got an accent, they hear that you're struggling, and you say, oh, sorry, I'm just learning Italian. Do you mind if I talk to you for 2 minutes? Or, you know, how's your day going, by the way, once they give you the coffee? You're immediately humbling yourself, and you're immediately showing that you're not just a tourist passing through who they should just throw a coffee at and, you know, go. You're actually trying to be at the same social level as them. You're trying to engage and you're trying to be a peer to them. And that's it. That's the spark of a conversation that could take you to the next bit of understanding, because you might have to use the conjunctivo during that conversation and you'll nail it, and that'll give you the confidence to do it in the next conversation. Now, not only does this comfort zone smashing help you when you're learning your target language, it also helps you when you're back at home, because I found that now I will automatically try and start a conversation with people when I'm buying stuff in a shop or something like that. And I also really revel in the fact that I'm now speaking English. When I go back to the UK, everything feels so easy. Every social interaction just feels so simple. So just the novelty of going back to the UK and not having to worry about that means that you start to be so, I don't want to say outgoing, what do I want to say? More like loquacious and chatty and giggly with people, because you're kind of like high on using English again. So talking of coming back to the UK and being high on languages and all that sort of stuff, my final point is that one of the best things that languages might do for you is teach you, show you that you actually love languages, that you can have a passion for it. Because I don't think I've met a single person while I've been learning languages who studied it now as an adult and loved it when they were at school. Almost everybody hated it at school and has now discovered a love for it. And you might be the same. Because when I was at school, I hated German. I was awful at it. And in hindsight now, I think the reason for that is because when you're at school, it is taught as an academic subject. It's all tables and charts and graphs and science. And really, languages for me is much more a practical skill. It's something that you practice and hone and get better at. It's got much more to do with woodworking or design technology or something than it has a subject like chemistry. When it's taught as a practical subject, today we're going to teach you how to order in a restaurant. Today we're going to teach you how to describe your family. That is when you succeed, because you can then go out into the real world and make use of that straight away. I think this is particularly evident when you're first starting out. I think one of the most fulfilling experiences you can have is to go out maybe when you're at A2 level and spend a month learning a language in country, because it'll blow your mind. It blew my mind, and definitely gave me this addiction, this interest for languages. So if, like me, you want to get hooked on languages, then one of the best ways to do that is to give yourself lots of language learning propaganda, like the stuff that I put out on my channel, which you can subscribe to now. I think that was a great segue. But anyway, seriously, I do love languages, and I love encouraging people to get into them, and I love giving people tips and suggestions on how to make your learning more effective. So if you do want to catch my videos, I put out, like I said, 2-3 a week, then hit that subscribe button before you go. And of course, as always, I love to hear what you guys think. Do let me know your thoughts on this video by joining the discussion in the comments below. And we've got really good at this recently, guys. At the time of filming, of my last 2 or 3 videos, we've averaged between 40 to 70 people joining the conversation and making comments, which is really cool. I love reading all of your comments, and I do try to reply to as many as I possibly can. So yeah, remember to scroll down and leave a comment if you would like to join that discussion. But until next time, I will see you soon. Ciao!